That was so, dude. Fucking Spike like takes the artifact and he just starts ripping out the tape. Like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah,
like,
that shit was funny.
And the guy just loses his mind. Like, what are you doing?
The one is a mushroom samba where they go and they trip balls.
They had a shroom episode. They just had an episode dedicated to fucking shrooms. It was just like them tripping balls.
I love seeing Jet in the apron too whenever he's cooking.
Yeah.
Spike, bell peppers and beef.
Oh yeah.
Karen made a funny when he texted me, like, I think
Oh,
a week ago or whatever. This is when he first started, and he's like, "Yo, man, like they put 5% of the whole show's budget into making those titties, like, because every time they jiggle, oh my god,
it's like 60. It's the only 60 FPS moments in the show is the jiggle physics of face titties." Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to episode 28 of the Unboxing Life podcast. This is a anime box episode, and today we will be covering Cowboy Bebop. I'm one of your
classic.
Yes, absolutely. I'm one of your four hosts for today. My name is Cameron. We also got Treasure Coon, aka Trevor.
Yeah, I'm busy reloading my Python. Give me a second.
Yep.
And we lit.
All right, we're good.
What's up, baby?
We got Amo, aka Alex.
What's going on, everybody?
And we got everyone's favorite father figure. We got Daddy David, aka Dave Vision.
Hello. What is up, guys? What is up, guys?
We are very excited to bring you part 2 of our 90s weekend of sorts, with Cowboy Bebop, a instant classic, a long-time classic.
Yes, sir.
But
1998 classic anime.
We're going to be jumping into our traditions and then straight into plot discussion of Cowboy Bebop. So,
spoilers ahead, guys, if you haven't seen it.
Absolutely. So Trevor,
please,
you want to...
Please click off of this video and go watch it, and then come back.
Yep.
Don't forget to come back.
Yes,
don't
please
forget to come back.
Right, yeah. Write that in your notes.
Exactly.
And also rate.
Rate.
All right.
Yes.
Trevor, you want to start us off for traditions?
Yeah, rate and subscribe, as they say.
Yep.
Right.
So I found this quote on the top 10 most memorable quotes of Cowboy Bebop, and I was scrolling through one of them, and one of them hit me as I was watching the show, and I'm thankful that it was on this list because I forgot about it. And it is Jet Black says it actually, and it goes, "Men only think about the past right before their death, as if they were searching frantically for proof that they were alive." And when I heard it, I was like, "Damn."
Yeah.
Like I try to put myself in the shoes of like a dying man, and just like I don't know what like my life flashing before my eyes would feel like.
Yeah.
So I'm not exactly excited for that feeling, but I guess we'll see when it comes.
Yeah. That's great. That's great.
Yeah, that quote hit me in the feels.
Yeah, that combined with what Spike says about having to see if he was ever truly alive at the end of the show.
At the very end. That was another quote that I wanted to say as well.
Yeah. We can definitely talk about that when we get there.
That one's good. The whole, it's like I'm watching a bad dream that I never wake up from or something like that.
Yeah.
That's another one he says a couple times. A lot of great quotes in the show, honestly.
Yeah, a lot of solid one-liners and everything, monologues.
Yeah. Gotta love that. Well, it's my turn now. So for
you already gave the tank intro, so you can't do that.
Right, can't do that again. But I like to do a little bit of tangentially related, maybe expanding your little bitty repertoire. Sorry if it's bright on my face for a second.
That's his full form. That's his final form. That's David White instead of Goku Black.
David White.
Oh my goodness.
All right. My track of the episode is In a Sentimental Mood, composed by Duke Ellington, performed by John Coltrane. Pretty famous jazz song. I'm not an expert, so I don't know all the subgenres and what this would classify as, but I think it's smooth jazz. And it's great. Great sax, 2 jazz legends.
Do they sing?
Well, they don't sing, but there are versions with lyrics and stuff.
Okay. I kind of prefer without the lyrics, honestly. So I was wondering.
Yeah, right. I think the most famous version you'll find is without the lyrics.
Dope.
Is it a possible? Is it a possible sample?
It could be used for a
probably
sample.
sampled. Yeah,
I'm sure it's been sampled, probably. Yeah,
probably a million times. Anything from the '60s and '70s probably been sampled 5 times over.
Yeah, it's even super old. So, yeah, I love the jazz use in Cowboy Bebop, and
absolutely,
so this was
we could talk about. We would definitely talk about.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Cool. What's it called again?
In a Sentimental Mood, John Coltrane, composed by Duke Ellington. There you go.
Lit.
Awesome.
At first I thought you said that you're in a sentimental mood.
Sentimental mood.
Yeah, I thought that's how you were introing the track, is that it puts you in a sentimental mood or something like that. But I guess maybe it does.
I guess it does, yeah. It's very successful, maybe.
Well, there you go. That's why it's
double entendre. Don't even ask me how.
Okay.
All right, Alex.
All right. So my joke of this week is, what's the difference between a poorly dressed man on a tricycle and a well-dressed man on a bicycle?
I always want to figure these out.
Yeah. I want to give at least some sort of a guess, but...
I don't know.
It has to do with just some wheel. Like
a wheel.
Like a wheel missing or something like that.
A tire.
Oh my god.
There you go.
That's one of my favorites.
Okay, that was actually good. Yeah.
I don't think I'll ever get that close. So.
That's a top tier one.
You did get close, yeah. There you go.
That's
Alex hit me with the...
That is a thunderous punch.
All right.
Absolutely.
Well,
thunder breathing first form on our ass.
There you go.
To launch us into our Cowboy Bebop discussion, I have a somewhat of a longer fact about the background and the inception of the show. So, fact of this episode is that Cowboy Bebop had initially originated with toy company Bandai as a sponsor, with the goal of selling spacecraft toys. Bandai being the largest toy company in Japan. Series director Shinichiro Watanabe recalled his only instruction was, quote, "So long as there's a spaceship in it, you can do whatever you want." Upon viewing early footage, it became clear that Watanabe's vision for the series didn't match with that of Bandai's. Believing the series would never sell toy merchandise, Bandai pulled out of the project, leaving it in development hell until sister company Bandai Visual stepped in to sponsor it. Since there was no need to merchandise toys with the property anymore, Watanabe had free reign in development of the series. He wanted to design not just a space adventure series for adolescent boys, but a program that would also appeal to sophisticated adults. During the making of Bebop, Watanabe often attempted to rally the animation staff by telling them that the show would be something memorable up to 3 decades later. Here we are.
23 years later, yeah.
While some of them were doubtful at that time, Watanabe many years later expressed his happiness to have been proven right in retrospect. He joked that if Bandai Visual hadn't intervened, then, quote, "You might be seeing me working the supermarket checkout counter right now."
Man.
Cowboy Bebop would have never happened.
So that's the origin story of Cowboy Bebop, and how he always believed it could be a classic to span generations. And here we are talking about it 23 years later, like you said.
I think they also they had some issues with airing it because I think they got 12 episodes in, and then some people just kind of pulled out from if you I don't know if you realize, but episode 12 it kind of ends how a series would end. It's got its own final cutscene, and it plays the credits in a completely different way from anything else in the show. And it just has that send-off feel. I forget. I think it was when
they do kind of do that
when the trans guy dies.
Jupiter Jazz, yeah.
Yeah, Jupiter Jazz. That too. That part. But that has a send-off feeling of the show. It's really weird.
They do kind of do some anime that are 24 episodes, which I think this one was 25 or 6.
6.
They'll have 26. They'll have mid-series finale or and it's basically the A side B side of an album. It's kind of that's what they'll do for certain anime, and it depends.
You learn that, and you just you love saying it. It's so cute.
Or kind of like how modern day anime we have it would technically be season 1 and season 2. That would be that's the end of the first season. Bring it back. like to compare it, I would say.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That is crazy, David.
Well, thank God they made it.
Thank God they made
Thank
it.
God. Thank God I made
God,
it, and you
and
will.
you
would not have a shirt on right now if they
I
didn't.
know, that's so
That's
crazy.
true. Dude, the
I'd
Cowboy
be
Bebop merch is on fire
shivering.
as well.
Yeah,
Oh, absolutely. I want that shirt for sure.
let's go, my boy.
Where should we begin?
But I want that shirt. I want the one you're wearing. I don't want to get a copy of that shirt. I want you to give me your shirt.
Yeah, you want the deodorant and sweat and everything?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'll send it to
And
you.
the
yeah.
dead skin cells.
Pack it up. If I could get the Davision autograph on there too, so I can resell that for over $1 million at auction.
For
Over
$20.
$1 million
For $20, just at shirt price. Yeah,
for 8 million wulongs.
yeah.
sure what
There
they
you
want.
go.
Exchange rate is, but
Right, yeah. Dang.
So yeah, all right. Let's get
I
into
Yeah.
it.
say we discuss the music first because it's
Okay.
definitely a strong point of the show for me, and it kicks
Mhm.
off quite literally with one of the best intro sequences I've seen.
Same.
With the tank intro.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Very memorable. The more I listen to it, the more the melodies get stuck in my head. Case in point with when we were just playing it before we started recording.
Yeah, no,
It's very,
Very bombastic and in your face, and it's
gets stuck in your head. It's definitely top 5 or top 3 intros for me, something like that. And all instrumentation pretty much.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yoko
Like-
Kanno, as we mentioned the other time, the composer for I think the most of the music in the entire show. She's apparently a genius because it was.
Oh, it's a female?
fantastic. Yeah. Yoko
Yeah.
Kanno, yeah.
noise.
But she killed it, and it's crazy.
I was telling David I would pay $100 just to see that that song in concert, like in full.
Right? Yeah.
It's
That's
so
great.
great.
Man, those horns. Yeah.
One
Horns are
interesting
insane.
part to me is that there's like the little bit of vocals that's in it is in English, and it's like one of the only anime themes I've seen that have English in.
Really?
Yeah.
Almost every anime opening that I've watched so far has had.
Exclusively, it's
It's-
exclusively English. I mean,
It's
Well, yeah, it's 2 lines. Yeah.
It's also
It's too loud.
American accented English, as opposed to like the Japanese singer
Yeah.
just saying lyrics in English, which happens plenty of the time. But I agree, Alex is like that's one of the few times that I've heard like just American accented English be part of the intro.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah,
A mock
Yeah.
scene.
Which
but yeah,
like-
so it's stylistically, it's just all super poppy, like in your face, like you said, very very fun jazz. Every time, I mean, the fight scenes are made so much better by the music because it's just every time a fight scene pops off, it's like drums, jazz, piano, and all the entire fucking horn section just coming at your throat, and it's just I think it's like episode, I want to say 2 when he fights the guy with the red eye.
That's
for the first time.
1.
Is that just episode
Episode
1?
1. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so when he fights the guy with the red eye, he's just like that's the first real like hand-to-hand combat like stuff going down, and the jazz comes in hot. You're like, okay, I could get super into this, even though it's like not at all the mainstream style for fight music.
And the like, to piggyback off that, the very few times that we get to see Spike enter hand-to-hand combat is a spectacle to watch. He is a nutty professor when it
Right.
comes to fighting.
Nutty Professor.
Very
Yeah.
flows like water kind of thing, and it kind of gave me Demon Slayer vibes with Tanjiro and his fighting
Yeah.
style. But
Yeah, I love
very
the,
aloof and very direct with his movements, and
yeah.
uses like that. That's like a pillar of martial arts, is to use the enemy's energy against themselves.
Yeah,
So
he talks
Yeah.
about that. But
it's really fucking awesome. Yeah, he teaches someone who is like
Yeah.
incessant that he learns. Oh, it gave me like Genos vibes with Saitama.
Oh, yeah.
Genos like begs Saitama to take him under his wing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I was
I'll
like,
tell you what though, my man Spike could benefit if he hit the leg press once or twice. He's got some.
Yeah, he's
big
not
legs.
buff. He's not buff.
Skinny man. Yeah, that's true.
He ain't buff, but he's fine as fuck, my guy. Oh my goodness.
True.
I think
That-
my first impression was like he's a grown-up Deku from My Hero, because the hair, like it's like
I mean, they're both
it's like a
green.
darker shade of Deku's hair.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's funny.
is kind of funny
Deku's
stylistically. We talked about we talked about
Spike
some
is
of
fine,
the
not Deku.
Not Deku. Spike. We get you.
yeah. We talked about him stylistically being a grumpy old man and some of the quotes, and he's always walking around with his hands in his pockets and everything. And it's like
hunched over.
It gives this whole like I am not a threat vibe kind of almost like like everyone around him could be complacent with him, and then all of a sudden like when it matters, he's like water. He can take any form, and he's an insane marksman too. I mean. If they have some really nice shots of like first person view of the person behind the pistol and the sights like lining up and everything and their hands shaking and whatever. It's very, very difficult to aim and shoot a pistol that accurately, and he does it multiple times when he's like I think Faye's getting taken hostage or some shit, and she's like,
and he just pops the guy.
He's like, Spike,
him.
what are you thinking? Like, put the gun down. Like, there's like thinking there's no way you can take that shot, and he's just like cool as fuck. Like,
pulls the fan,
pulls the trigger, blows his head off, and she's just like, okay.
When that happened, Rocio was like, yo, that's like the first time I've seen that like play out. Because every time someone takes a hostage like as a meat shield, they just like give up. They're like, oh, I can't hit that head. Like the head's big as fuck. Like he's like out here. The chick's right here. Like you can pop him easily. Like
that's a really tough shot with a pistol at that range. But
yeah, it's interesting that Cameron says when he walks, he's kind of like an old man. Because I always kind of felt like he just walks like wherever he goes, he walks in a way that he owns. Like he knows he'll mess you up, so he don't care. Like
I didn't say
he was not old man. He was not.
I don't think I said old man. I said like hands in pockets, super casual. Well, I said grumpy old man in his style and his quotes. Like we talked about the one where he's like, I hate. Well, I'll let you say it if you want because it was your thing. Okay.
Yeah,
but he's always super jaded was the word you used is like the perfect thing is like that's the jaded like old man like outlook of the world. But when he's walking around and when he's in a room, it's the cool, calm, collected, like kind of like not a threat but like super casual. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. He's definitely one of the coolest anime protagonists, and I think it's cool because it kind of when you were talking about the fact of the creator making it appeal to adults too. I like how that kind of ties in with his character of him not caring, which is like you get into it later in the show of like each of the characters on the Bebop have this like damaged past, and that you can sort of see how that accounts for how he doesn't really care about his own well-being, and he's also such a great fighter, so it allows him to like do wild maneuvers and just barely make it out, but then like save the day. But you realize it's also because he doesn't really care about himself, and he's like just I think chilled out and jaded in a way. Yeah,
I think one of my favorite examples of that is when they're trying to find the guy with the dragon tattoo, and it's the VT episode, the female trucker,
the heavy metal queen.
The heavy metal queen. Yeah, that's the name of the episode. Yeah, and he's at the beginning of that. He's in the bar. That's filled with bounty hunters, and like the fight breaks out or whatever, where they're like touching on the waitress, and VT steps in, and he's like just letting it play out right up until he's like trying to crack a raw egg to make his, what do they call it? The
hangover thing.
I forget what the hangover curry is called. It's a prairie omelet or something, whatever he calls it. But he makes that, and he's trying to crack the egg, and he cracks it in his lap, or gets it like knocked over into his lap, and just like the eyebrow twitch as he like looks down, and he's like, I'm hungover as shit, I didn't want to deal with this, and he just gets up and like punches out 3 dudes in like 10 seconds.
Yeah,
and they're like coming at him with knives and shit, and he's just cool as a cucumber. It's like that's the
cool as a cucumber.
that's peak Spike right there.
Yeah, very cool. I feel like
they're all pretty lovable characters for the most part. Like, I had a rough start with Ed, just because I guess I couldn't get over she was a little annoying for me at first, and the whole talking in third person thing kind of took me a while to get used to. But then she ended up being like, she's like, Ed, do this, Ed, do that. Like there's an episode of Seinfeld where they come across a guy and he just refers to himself as Jimmy. It drives me insane. like Jimmy is upset. Like Jimmy thought you were gonna do this, and you did that. Like. Shut up. Just say I. Like, but Ed actually became like my favorite character.
Pretty lovable,
Show. She's fucking hilarious.
Wow, yeah. No, I had the same thing though. It's like the rough start because there are a lot of characters I feel like that are that archetype or whatever, and most of them are annoying to me. But then when she just does like the creative stuff or like the hacker stuff, and you realize they put in like little jokes, even if she's saying like nonsense, it's like something really funny that you're like, dang, just do off the wall.
I think there was one episode where they had to like lose someone, and she had to like put in false data to like lose the trail or something like that, and she's like just typing away at the computer, and she's like data bogus data, like
it always like sort of makes sense for what she's doing.
She types with her feet. This chick is flexible and like flexible as fuck. She's just like bending backwards typing with her feet, and I'm just like,
she's just doing contortionist exercises like half the time,
bruh.
Hanging from the ceiling and shit.
I think a lot of what goes into that type of character is, for me, it has a lot to do with the voice acting, because like David said, there's a lot of characters that have this sort of that same type of like overtly over the top, and if the voice actor is like really overdoing it, then it gets annoying. But
that's
true. Like I think Ed did it very, very nicely.
I believe we all watched the dub. Had to watch the dub for my man.
Classic dub, man. This is probably the best dub I've ever seen.
Getting in there,
that, like on top, like next to Naruto, like it's up there. It's so good.
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, the iconic voice of, I'm gonna fucking forget his name because I didn't write it down.
Dempsey.
Steve Bloom.
Steve Bloom. Yeah. So Steve Bloom, who has a extensive Wikipedia page. He's got the Guinness World Record for held it at one point. I don't know if he still holds it, but for voicing the most video game characters of anyone. He's been in countless anime dubs. David was saying he was the voice for Toonami on Adult Swim. He was the guy who introduced all the anime, all the shows, and did the bits in between. So yeah, just absolute legend of the voice acting game. And so who else would you want voicing Spike Spiegel but him? And he's got an utterly iconic voice, and he delivers his lines perfectly. So had to watch the dub.
It is perfect.
Yeah, when I first heard him, I was like, I definitely know him from somewhere. And then Cameron said, "Oh, he's Tank Dempsey from fucking Call of Duty Zombies." And I'm
Call of Duty Zombies, the American, the
like I've heard him for 10 years.
American.
12 years, because that was 2008. Jesus Christ.
Die, zombie bitch.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
He's got some great quotes in there.
So
yeah. It's definitely not one of the ones where like the sub people are like, the dub is bad. It's like,
no
that one makes it over.
You can't.
Like,
you can't say it. You'd be lying to yourself.
You just be a hater at that point.
Yeah,
because it was masterfully done as well.
I think like episode 10 or so, whatever episode they're on, the airplane, and Spike has his mask on, and it like looks like a silly face, and he's just falling asleep.
Oh yeah.
And the guys are hijacking it, and he like nubs him. The first like 5 minutes of that show, I was watching it in sub for some reason. Like I guess it just like loaded sub instead, and like I thought it was like, I thought the voiceover at the very beginning of the episode where it like there's a speaker on the airplane, and she's like, "Oh, we're gonna land on Venus in like 2 minutes," and it comes through in Japanese. So I figured like that was just like an artistic touch. But then like it kept going, and then Faye starts talking, and she's in Japanese. I'm like,
hold up,
quit, like, and I went back to the sub, or I went back to the
orient.
That I wrote down something about that episode. That was that's actually the one with the guy who he teaches to like move like water and whatever. But right before that, they go up to the bounty board to turn in the bounties, and they named the three guys they catch. They named them Huey, Dewey, and Louie, which is the name of the characters from DuckTales.
Oh my god!
Yeah, there's
like a little weird, an interesting little '90s touch there.
Yeah, which is cool because I feel like even like in the not even just the American dubbing over. I don't know when that happened, but like the Japanese, like the original form of the show, there's some like influence from international stuff, like American, like Clint Eastwood and stuff with the cowboy movies and the
touches with the Big Shot bounty show that they have. The black guy on there sounds like a Hispanic. It's so great.
He's like doing a stereotypical voice.
And
then you see him later, and he's like not at all. And it's like just shows how ridiculous the show is.
That was one of my favorite episodes, or favorite fucking parts of the show, when he tells her that the show is gonna get canceled, and she completely breaks character, and she gets pissed.
And then so does he.
Voice, and she's got that bitch voice on. Oh my god, it was so good.
It's funny.
You know what? It's interesting that he sounds like a Hispanic, to you because you know what his voice kind of reminded me of the Russian voice from Borderlands. I don't know what it is about it.
The Russian.
Yeah,
Russian.
is that
You
the
talking about-
Gunzerker or something? Or who is that?
No, he's
No,
Mexican.
just the
Salvador's
narrator.
Mexican, I think.
Oh, the narrator.
Who isn't he like the medic guy? Whoever. It's like a.
I wouldn't know.
It's not maybe not Russian, but
Dr.
like
Zed. I mean, Dr. Zed is the
I don't know,
medic,
some like
but
Bulgarian.
He's
I don't know.
American sounding, isn't he?
I don't know.
I don't know if I'm saying if it's Russian, but it's a strong.
Yeah.
That's what it kind of reminded me of.
Interesting.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, he just like
Yeah.
he always like enters the show with "Hola, amigos." Like,
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
he's got the
Yeah,
sombrero
it's
on.
supposed to be extra Wild West, right? Yeah. So
Then there was like the one cameo. He was like in the elevator or something, and his like, "Hi, mom," and she's like,
Yeah,
"How's
when he
that
meets up
blonde,
with Yeah.
that blonde co-host of yours doing?" And he's like, "Oh, she's all right."
Oh
Like,
damn,
yeah.
I don't remember that.
You don't
It was
remember
like-
that?
Well, that was like when in one of the last episodes, it's like almost in the background when I think is it Faye is at the airport and he like
Yeah.
he's like you see him just like not on the show without the
Yeah.
accent like talking to his mom. It's so funny.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so it's great. The it's one of those things. Do you see like the quote that goes around about the show that's like in the intro that's like the work which in itself will become a new genre or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I like that because it blending like the previous genres like westerns and like different music like jazz and stuff
And sci-fi.
and becoming sci-fi. Yeah, like everything else and like crime like film noir and stuff like
Yep.
it just does so many things and blends them together that it like becomes this unique thing that
It becomes
was-
Cowboy Bebop.
yeah, just Cowboy Bebop was never seen before. So
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
I had
Yeah.
to rewind and catch that quote because I saw it a couple times and it was like flashing too quick for me to like read it and I was like, wait, what? I saw genre and then I'm like, oh, rewind.
Yeah, which is this show is episodic, and I think we were talking about that a little bit, not on the podcast, about how that is maybe a couple not like always our favorite thing. For
Definitely not mine, but
Yeah,
it
same here.
it works for the show for the most part.
It does
Yeah, 'cause
maintain continuity, though, is the thing, which is good. It's not
Yeah.
like The Simpsons or like South Park where Kenny fucking dies and then he's alive in the next episode. It's like
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
does
Spoiler alert.
maintain an over. If you don't know Kenny dies and you think that's a South Park spoiler, then, anyway, yeah, it's not. It does have an overarching continuity to it, like where they get a
Yeah.
dog in episode 2, and then they have Ein the dog for the rest of the show and all that. And the one main villain that he fights early on, it's like episode 5, I think, and then
Vicious. Yeah.
in the Vicious, and then in the conclusion, then there's a whole overarching backstory and everything that matters there. So it wasn't like it wasn't. That kind of cured the episodicness of it almost.
Yeah, I was
Which-
going to bring that up too because we're talking about the style of it and just for the episodic stuff, like the style just carries everything. Like they'll have a good story in each episode, but like you can't get connected to this overall thing when it's just happening right
Exactly.
there. So just how well it's directed and the music and everything and the animation was just killing it so much that like they can make these one-off episodes super enjoyable. But then it definitely elevates it by having like episode 5, Ballad of Fallen Angels, and you get introduced to Spike's a little bit of his backstory,
Yep.
and then I love how as you go on you realize the outro is like showing Spike's backstory, and it's like about like sort of all of them not being able to move on and whatever. And
I never watched the outros.
the outro is my favorite outro in anime. It is like it's
It is a good
incredible.
outro.
Yeah, it's the Real Folk Blues is so freaking good. It's which is also
Yeah.
the name of the last 2 episodes because it's
Yeah.
like it's all related to that. It's fantastic, and as the show goes on, they sort of like the Faye stuff where they introduce her past and
And how mountainous of debt
Yeah.
she's in.
I wanted to
Right.
talk about
Like
that
it's
episode.
like it's like not even her fault.
yeah.
Like she gets revived like not under her own free will and
Yeah.
she's expected to pay trillions. Yeah.
Right. It's just
Yeah,
like
million
several.
Wuhans.
Yeah. There's an episode of Star Trek like that as well, Star Trek: The Last Generation, that has they come across a like a pod of people that were frozen in time, and one of them just has like a blood pressure disease or something like that he's like easily curable in Star Trek times. And so that was a whole fad in the 90s, was the idea of, and that's why legendary baseball player Ted Williams, he has his head frozen. Like it was a fad in the 90s of the idea that you could be frozen just before death and then rewoken once they had like reanimated is the term they use, and have your illness cured and then be able to live a normal life. And so one way or another, Faye was gonna die, was frozen, and then wakes back up in what year are we in? 20? Well, I think it's like 2 years before when it's happening or something like that. So it's like it's like 20 late 2060s, early 2070s. So that she wakes back up in, and she gets told she owes all this money and everything. And I wanted to talk about that episode in a bubble because it's a very, very interesting concept that a lot of sci-fi and even modern, like just normal concept writers have written about, is the idea of like dropping a caveman into our age. And like, how do you explain to someone who has no concept of these things, like all of these things which are going on around them?
I mean, if you've watched Winter Soldier, that's another great example of that, because he has no idea what music is. Like no understanding of what Taco Bell is. You know, he's writing down little things on his notepad because he wants to go research it because he has no idea what a MP3 player is. You know, shit like that.
That can be done super well. I like that.
So, especially when she's like stumbling out of the hospital in the same way that Cap does, and just like gets hit with. I mean, he gets hit with Times Square, so that's like that's like one thing. But she even just sees like a gas station, and then she walks down the gas station, and it's all like holographic ads coming from the soda machines, and that like sends her ass. Like it's very interesting of like the sensory overload of being transported forward in time.
She walks down the roadway too.
To kind of play off
cards.
And she saw like a spaceship goes over her head and everything.
I think it's interesting to me how when you have a series that portrays the future, when they're writing it at the time, they're at that point they're essentially predicting what the future is going to be like. So we see that in all types of media. Like they're predicting what the 2070s is going to look like. Like Back to the Future tries to see what 30 years from now is going to look like. Like you got games like Cyberpunk, where 50 years into the future, this type of. So it's always funny to me to see like the things that they go on because they're still limited in their current technology. I don't know if you guys picked up on it, but so the year is supposed to be like 2070, and Faye's accident was supposed to be 50 years ago, which would be 2020 around that era. And then she gets like a VHS tape from 2020. Yeah, like, pop this in and see what it's about.
That was so, dude. Fucking Spike like takes the artifact and he just starts ripping out the tape. Like, what the fuck is this? Like,
that shit was funny.
And the guy just loses his mind. Like, what are you doing?
It's so funny that they do it well because it is limited to the technology. But they like in the future the VHS will be like a relic. But I'm sure they couldn't imagine that it would be so quick. Maybe, but
it was cool. Like they had like a 10-year window of VHS that was gone.
What is that?
Yeah, it's already a relic, and then but that makes me. I like the second half of the show like a lot better than the first half personally, because especially like moments like that. I think that's probably one of my favorite moments when they finally put in the VHS, and it's like, hey, what's up?
Faye.
And it's Faye, and you're like, what the freak? Because it's like so long ago, and you have that moment, and then it like sets up her backstory of like I think. What's like one of the last episodes, like Hard Luck Women, with like her and Ed like leaving the ship, and she goes back to where she was a kid, and the home is just gone. And it's just brutal.
I do wish that they explored Ed's backstory a little more. I think she could have gotten a little better of a send off. She just kind of like disappears and that's about it. That's all we know. I mean, the most things we know about her is that her dad is a piece of shit. Doesn't even know the gender of her.
I enjoyed that part.
Yeah, he was a jackass. Do you want to come live with me? And then like he asked Ed, "Yo, you want to come live with me now?" And then he just like like a squirrel, like he just like loses his attention and goes to something else and completely abandons her.
Yeah. The whole story of that is just ridiculous because they're like the asteroids are hitting and they gotta go like fix the map to like make sure like it's all good again.
Yeah.
And it just keeps happening.
How often did the map change? It was like every like 20 days or something that they said.
I think it was way less than that. Yeah, I don't know.
I think because like
And he's like, that's why we got to keep moving.
Yeah.
It's like, thanks for taking care of my son, or is it my daughter?
Yeah, he's like such a bad dad, but you also see where Ed gets it from because he's just so weird and scatterbrained. Yeah. Like, I definitely see like if you wanted some more backstory, I thought it was good enough because Ed is like just a meme lord anyway, and it's like,
Agreed.
She just walked into the orphanage one day and just said she was called Ed, and there you go. So
I was just tied to her, so I wanted to know more.
Yeah, I feel you. Yeah.
The whole chess scene was pretty
The chess
good,
thing was
too.
hilarious.
Yeah.
And they played the same game
I'm
for 10
playing them
days
right
or whatever.
now. I'm playing the
Yeah,
Grandmaster.
they storm into his room with like 3 gats at his face, and then the guys around him start talking about something else, and then he goes back to the game, and there's like 3 people with guns like pointing at him, and he's playing against Ed. He doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, he's just senile or whatever. That's what they say.
Yeah, so good.
It's like I'm either playing against an idiot or a genius.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Chess Master Hex.
Yeah.
And then Ed finally loses the game after like 20 days straight of playing, and she's like, "Ah!"
It's exactly that noise, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty good, for sure.
Good shit.
Yeah.
We talked about Faye for a little bit.
There was an interesting episode that was basically filler. Like if this show has filler in the symbiote going on the ship and getting them all sick. I don't know if they
it
died
was
in
like
the episode, but
it's like a
in the attic.
container episode or whatever. Yeah.
They like it's a weird filler of an episode, but
well, it's
it was interesting to watch. But
filler is. I get what you're saying. It is what's it called, like a bottle episode where they're all in
a bottle
one area,
episode. Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah. It's definitely strikes you as a weird because they'll experiment with genres and it's like some sort of weird
I definitely don't have anything against the episode. Yeah,
it
was definitely enjoyable.
It's an interesting one to point out for sure. And then what it's just like they left something in the fridge for so long or something.
I think fucking Spike left lobster, like a lobster bisque or some shit in there for like a year.
It's like Ganymede rock lobster or whatever it fucking was. Yeah.
And he opened the fridge and it's like a hive world in there.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
Yeah, it's got its own fucking ecosystem. But yeah, the funny part I remember about that is I think when the show ended, they didn't show them all getting cured or anything. I think it's just Ed.
Yeah, they just got. Yeah,
I think Ed says like, and they all died or like something like that. But no, I think they just say, and then everything was just fine. Like they literally acknowledge it that they don't like conclude the episode. Basically, they just like move on and everything's fine.
They say the end at the end instead
exactly.
of like the "See You Space Cowboy." It's just the end.
Yeah. So it was almost like an OVA.
Yeah.
"See You Space Cowboy" is such a great line to end
absolutely.
on episodes.
Iconic.
I fucking love it, man.
Yeah.
This episode will probably be named "See You Space Cowboy." So
why wouldn't it be? And then I like how they switch it up sometimes. And I forget the difference.
You're gonna carry that weight. That's another one they did.
The ultimate one, at the very end, which is great. I've been thinking about like the standout episodes I have, and it's usually like the main, like the big story ones, like Jupiter Jazz or the Real Folk Blues. But one is a Mushroom Samba where they go and they
they had a shroom episode. They just had an episode dedicated to fucking shrooms. It was just like them tripping balls. I literally like all caps and I was like, what the fuck? Like this came out of left field. Like it was so serious, like gunfights, like lives on the line, and then they're just they're just tripping balls.
And then you can tell it's like, I'm investigating mushrooms. Do you have any? And they're all like, nope. And
it's in the bag.
Like, you guys must like shiitake.
Yeah.
At the very end of the episode, I think that's the one with the train, right? Like when the cow steps on the train tracks and just ends everything, like it makes it stop. And at the very end of the episode, Ian just goes up to the cow and he's like, "Thank you," and the cow's like, "You're welcome."
It's such a crazy, goofy episode. It's I swear it's like a whole comedy movie worth of freaking stuff in that episode because
episode.
Them tripping out and like Jet talking to his bonsai trees and like Faye thinks the bathroom is flooding, so you just see her swimming in the air and stuff. And Spike's climbing that stairs.
Oh my god, I love the Faye thing with the bathroom. Yeah. She's like doing this in the shrooms, and then she's just like sitting in the bathroom, like doing nothing. Like, oh my god.
Yeah, it's so funny. And then like every part of it is, and then I love when Ed is the star of the show. And then like at the train scene at the end, they have they like write a whole song about mushrooms. It's like it's the mushroom samba or something like or like because there's something going on with that, or like isn't there like a watermelon dealer or something too, and it like it talks about stuff going on.
They try to get it, and then the chick pulls up.
Yeah, I think it might be talking about watermelons. It's like it's very related to the episode, and it's so funny. Yeah,
great fucking episode. I think another one of my highlights was the very first one. I enjoyed that one a lot. It was super action packed. I like the classic saloon shootout. Basically, they're in a bar and they just get behind. The guys just like come in as gangsters and just start lighting the place up, and the guy has the red eye or whatever. That was like one of my favorite moments when they're like on the run from the guys, and the chick that is like hoarding the red vials is like I thought she was pregnant the whole time, obviously, because that's what they want you to think. And then she like a bullet like goes right through her dress, and it like explodes all the vials, and I'm just like, she's not pregnant, holy shit. Like
it's a very cool reveal.
Yeah, I was getting a little salty at her. I was like, why is she like slugging Bloody Marys right now instead of?
That's what Rosita like looked at me and she was like, "What?"
Yeah,
like she's just a mule. God.
Yep.
Crazy.
What are some other episodes that you guys enjoyed? Any other
highlights? I want to talk about the animation in general, I guess, because it's like, when it comes to space animation, it's like so very obviously dated, but it still looks
rough
good
on the edges.
It still looks good and cool to look at, but it's not like super shiny, polished like HD stuff. So it's like you get used to it pretty quickly, but it is like obviously from that time period, like dated.
Another another part of that would be the aspect ratio, how it wasn't full screen.
That
full screen on the phone, but not on your big screen TV.
Yeah, exactly. That's something else you have to get used to.
On my phone.
It wasn't full screen on your? Well, I mean, it was basically so.
It had dead space on the sides.
I didn't notice that.
But when it came down to it, a lot of the fight scene animation is very good. They really turn on the jets to make sure it's the highest frames per second possible, basically. No pun intended, but turn on the jets. It's got. I'm trying to think of an anime that I've seen more like actual gunplay in, and like bullets landing and blood splatter and like actual like bullet injuries and stuff like that. Like a lot of the times in random anime like that, it's just like get him, and it's just a machine gun going up and down like 1 inch, and it's like just like the muzzle flash, and then there's no actual like bullet interaction. It's just like pew pew, and then the protagonists like get away or whatever. But in this, it's like very. They tried to make some very realistic gunplay, make sure all the moving pieces were happening with the weapons and all that.
The vicious fights were great. They have a mutual respect for each other with their killing power. I think it's the very ending episode. They have the sword versus gunfight, and they literally both drop their weapons, and then they push it to each other so that they can continue fighting. They weren't gonna like kill each other cheaply. Yeah, I thought that was a cool touch.
Yeah, it's like a mafia thing as well.
Kind of expecting
not killing an unarmed man.
I was kind of expecting in that scene, like, I thought it would be dope if in that instance Spike picks up the sword and and Vicious picks up the gun, and then they fight each other with each other's weapons.
That would have been lit.
That's what I thought might happen, but yeah, I kind of like what ended up happening, because like Trevor said, it establishes a lot of like the mutual respect, and it's like we're gonna kill each other because one bested the other rather than some cheap bullshit.
That sequence through I think it was a hotel or whatever he was going through, where it was just a total shootout, like like a great way to end the episode or the series. My only gripe, I wish that it was cool when Chin, I think his name is, comes in and helps him, and then he dies like 20 seconds later. I wish that Faye and Jet came through as like a kind of like a last hurrah of them just completely killing everything in the vicinity, but it was just Spike.
I thought that was gonna happen. I think that was one thing I was missing too. they resolve their stories kind of individually, and like it's interesting. Like, yeah, I don't know. Like,
still a little off-putting the way they just like, because the last time you see Faye and them is when they're talking and they each say like 4 quotable lines.
Yeah.
And like the whole like getting caught up in your past and Spike being a hypocrite because he tells Faye to let go of the past, but he's quite literally going to die for his past.
Right. He has the great quote about one eye's fake, so one eye's looking to the past and all the time, one eye's looking to the future, whatever, the present.
But I like, that's the last time you see Faye, so it's a little off-putting. But
yeah, I wish that wasn't the last time you saw her.
Yeah, they do strike a interesting balance throughout the show and in its conclusion of like that this isn't really the Three Musketeers. Like, these aren't like all for one and one for all. Like, they're bounty hunters who are working together. And they like Jet and Spike, obviously they established that they have like a 2.5 year history, something like that. So they've been through some shit together. Yeah. So like then you're your comrades, your homies, like you'll stick your neck out one way or another for the guy. But like when it comes down to it, maybe you're not gonna like kill yourself for him, you know.
They literally did, like, they did that several times. I think at least Jet did with Faye and Spike. Spike, he did it like 4 times for Spike. Like, there was one episode where he knew that they were in trouble, and he just like, he called up the phone. He was like, tough, you know. He hangs up the phone. He's like, I'm not fucking doing it. And then 2 seconds later, he's like, damn it, and he just goes off to his ship.
I like
that. Is a homie, man. I think he got a lot of shit from everyone else because he did a whole lot for the ship, and like he did all the upkeep and all that. And they just shit on him like all the time. My man got shit on. Yeah.
He is the ultimate like grumpy old man,
dude. I love Jet.
Yeah.
Like I said, lovely characters to get attached to. Fucking fun as hell.
You know what Jet reminds me of? His character design.
Cyborg, like a white cyborg.
Maybe they were inspired in Avatar. There's the one general in the Fire Nation who like has the same like.
Oh,
beard.
Zhao. You mean?
You know what I'm talking
Admiral
about?
Zhao.
Yeah. I feel like he might have been.
He does have similar facial hair. Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, I knew he reminded me of someone. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good call.
I love seeing Jet in the apron too whenever he's cooking.
Yeah.
Spike, bell peppers and beef.
Oh, yeah.
Special bell peppers and beef. This isn't bell peppers and beef.
Isn't the first time they make it? It's like without beef. And
yeah,
like,
exactly.
Well, this isn't. What is this?
Does this look like bell peppers and beef to you?
Yeah. He's like, what is it if it's not with beef?
Yeah, it's like it's kind of funny because like
the scene where they're just eating eggs.
Yeah. They just got a fuckload of eggs, and they're just like cracks.
Yeah, their diet was.
They're just sucking eggs. Yeah.
They're always like broke and just looking for the next job. And,
exactly. It's funny because they get massive payouts, but then they get massive payouts, but then all their ships are fucked, so they have to fully repair their ships, and then apparently they talk about. I think the first thing they talk about is where'd that $2 million from the last job go? It's like, oh, you mean the $500,000 we had to pay in damages to this person, and like the $400,000 to this person, and they set that tone very early, of like these are
a gambler and she never has money.
Yeah, exactly. They make when they introduce her character, they make a whole big deal about how perfectly lucky she is all the time, and then right after that, they're like, because Faye has moments. There's one moment where I was like, okay, she's kind of fucked here, and then she just like shoots the guns out of the hands of the 6 people around her, and I'm like, okay, I guess she kind of slings dope as well. Like I didn't realize, she could actually fucking shoot and defend herself and stuff. I thought she was just like fucking hanging out. But
Cameron made a funny when he texted me, like, I think a week ago or whatever. This is when he first started, and he's like, yo man, like 80% of the budget went into no, you said 5. I said that was why it was so funny to me. It was like, they put 5% of the whole show's budget into making those titties. Like, because every time they jiggle, oh my god,
it's like 60. It's the only 60 FPS moments in the show is the jiggle physics of Faye's titties. It's like
smooth as shit.
They knew what they were doing.
Yeah, they were like, all right, boys. So we got this dope space cowboy. We got a reliable older figure. What do we? Oh, sex sells. We need fan service. We need a character whose her role is titties, and she just like comes in wearing like minimal clothing, titties popping out every
She-
time.
but
She
came off like a more mature Misty to me. like the way at least her
kind
outfit.
of honestly, yeah.
Her outfit, yeah, because she has the suspenders, which
And the very short shorts.
which I like, because she's like, they play it well because she's like an adult and she like
Yeah.
will seduce men to trick them and stuff.
Exactly.
So, like,
Yeah. Oh yeah,
she's
she
like-
uses it.
yeah, she takes it and uses it for herself, and like, you know, yeah, they do that and then they round it out, which is cool. It's better than most like characters that they just like. It's
Yeah,
literally
oh,
just there
definitely.
appearing.
Like, there's plenty of characters, yeah, that are literally just there because of the way they're animated, we'll say.
Right.
What
But,
about
yeah.
the?
Faye does
what
have
about the one
personality and
episode where
purpose and progresses the show in certain ways, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Go
what
ahead,
about the
Alex.
episode where she spends time with that dude who has the bounty on his head and he's taking a shower? He just reveals a full rack.
Dude.
Oh, that
Yeah,
surprised the
that's
hell
surprising.
out of me. I was like,
Yeah.
Holy
oh, we're doing
shit, what is
nipples.
happening?
I guess. I guess nipples
Yeah.
are
I liked
happening
him
now.
though. I liked him. He was cool.
Yeah, that was a really cool character. That was definitely, I love those two episodes because they bring back it's like I don't know what it is in the show, but like the elder who's like sort of just based on like Native American
Yeah.
stuff. He's like
Yeah,
in
The guy
that
that talks
episode.
about like
the fortune teller,
tear
the
shedding for
shaman, whatever,
for
yeah.
the shooting star.
Which it's pretty great because then I love it when you can introduce a character in like one episode and then they die in the next episode and it still means something for the show.
Yeah,
and like, you know,
absolutely.
so well done.
I will like on that point. I will say one of the things that kind of held the show back for me, at least, was like that it was episodic, and that I know we talked about this earlier, but like just how you would basically know that the characters you see in that episode were not tied to the main story. Like
Yeah.
it kind of took me by surprise, like because it was a little hard for me to like get attached to them because obviously they were gonna die or they were gonna disappear.
Yep.
Mhm.
So a little hard to get invested in that type of show, but if you take it for what it is, then that's great.
It does
After the
kind
first
of.
couple episodes for me, I was like, wait a minute, this isn't picking up where it left off.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right.
Yeah.
I liked it. I enjoyed it.
In a
Yeah,
way,
not every show needs to be deep and shit. This was very balls to the wall.
yeah,
Just
definitely.
fun.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely just fun. Definitely just sit back and enjoy what's going on in front of you, as opposed to having to think too deep about it. But then as we were saying, they do have good one-liners and some good, more philosophical stances about. There's a quote from the very last episode I was going to read that's like a kind of profound
Bang.
way of thinking about. Like, yeah, bang.
Dang. Yeah.
But yeah, they have like the funny moments, the like more anime-esque moments where the slapstick kind of a thing, or the one-liners. But they do get as deep as like when they're, I forget the exact moment they read this, but it's in the final episode, and they say, "Do not fear death. Death is always at our side. When we show fear, it jumps at us faster than light. But if we do not show fear, it casts its eye upon us gently and then guides us into infinity."
He's just trying to steal my tradition.
Yeah, I was definitely going to talk about that quote.
It was
'cause
like-
it's- they bring back the guy from Jupiter Jazz, and then Jet
Yeah.
goes to visit him because I mean, the last two episodes are probably my favorite because they strike that balance of like their relationship of like they're not the Three Musketeers, but
Yeah.
even though he's not helping him, Jet is like so distressed that Spike is going to his death, and then he like that message that he gets from that guy is so profound, and it sort of was like, I don't know, it's kind of like what Spike embodies at the very end. He's like
Yeah.
not
It's-
happy with his life now, and he doesn't have much to lose, but he just what's the right word? He sort of just goes and does, like he says, finds out if he was ever alive and does
Yep.
the thing
Mhm.
that he has to do, whether it's going to cost him his life or not, and is like totally willing to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, his
Mhm.
patch just kind of caught up to him, and he had no choice really.
Yeah, it definitely like surprised me almost the way the show concluded, because like we said, it has a lot of moments that it's more deeper, like the plot is long, but where like Jet's whole love story and like him having to take down his like former love.
He
and
never
new
got his
boyfriend and
answer.
everything. Yeah.
That pissed me off so
exact-
much.
yeah.
She was such a bitch.
Yeah, for sure. So there's like very serious arching stuff like that, but then also a lot of like one-offs and a lot of levity. But then the way the show concludes is like a mythological fates intertwining, like Arthurian, like battle of the fates, where like these two people who used to be brothers are now coming back together, and like at least one of them won't make it out. And so it was incredibly dramatic and cinematograph. Fuck, that's not a word.
Cinematic?
I guess just cinematic, but I was trying to incorporate the way they shot it into the word, but that's not a fucking thing that I can do. So anyway, cinematic essentially of the way they framed everything and made it. So it was like an epic conclusion to a show that is epic at moments, but also like basically instructs you not to take it too seriously. But then it comes back around again.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's definitely Bang is like one of the most iconic anime endings of all time. I think I got years before I ever watched the show, I got spoiled on it.
The Bang scene,
but it didn't ruin it.
Blows.
Yeah, like I saw that. Yeah, which it didn't ruin it because it's the whole. It's kind of nice. The whole show isn't one story, and then
absolutely.
And you sort of what was going to happen, but the context they put it in is like this is going to happen, but what does it mean? What does it mean to you as a person that this is happening or whatever? So,
this was a great fucking show. I'm very glad that we watched it. Number 10, important milestone for me.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, absolutely. So that's the question then: is where is it in your ranking now? Did it move up or down?
I didn't actually rate it on your lie. Jesus, I didn't rank it on my anime list yet, but I think it probably wouldn't move from where it was. I think you guys keep talking about it. Yeah, you guys. Let me pull it up really quick.
Yeah. I was interested because when you rated it where you did, you had only watched 5 episodes. That being said, episode 5 is where it fucking like I was kind of like not overly impressed, and then we got to episode 5 and there's that gunfight in the church and the whole scene with he gets shoved out the window and the grenade pops off, and it's everything was shot so beautifully, and he has that whole flashback moment, and I was like, okay, this is what I was expecting. This is like on the level of how highly rated this show has been.
That was the same.
I have it above Naruto, which is a 7.5 for me. I guess I'll just give my rating. I think I'd put it at an 8.5 overall. I really love this show. It's right underneath One Punch Man for me. So I guess it would be number 6 on my top 10 so far.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll give it a solid 8.5.
Yeah, very cool. It's it's required reading, as they say.
Absolutely. For any anime fan, definitely watch this show. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, like we just talked about. We talked about Enter the 36 Chambers on Music Box, and this is like one of those shows that has influence whether you realize it or not, and probably some of your favorite stuff nowadays. So
it's your favorite show's favorite show.
That's true.
There you go. All right.
Is there any other?
Where would you put it, David?
It's just number rating.
Yeah.
Because we did our top 10. It's still 10 on my all time. It's like very close to a 9 for me. So like. Okay. I don't do I don't want to do too many decimals, but it would be like an 8.75, I guess.
Okay. I'm cool with like 0.25 increments.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm cool with that.
I'm with Trevor on the 8.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's about right.
I give it a solid 8. I definitely think there are some slow episodes, and the episodic thing does kind of slow it down with not being able to care about too many of the characters too much. But they do still have a great protagonist, a great set of main characters, a epic conclusion, like we said, with an interesting villain that I wish got developed more, honestly. But yeah, so I'll give it a solid 8 for sure.
Boss ass name too, Vicious.
Yeah,
imagine everyone calling you Vicious. Are you serious?
He's got the
freaking make it in life.
The bird, dude. I would be sad once I had that bird and I was called
Vicious.
Yeah.
You have a sword. You don't even know how. You don't even have to use it, man.
No,
you just
have it in your side. People know what's up.
Yeah, that's dope.
All right. Well, we're just under an hour, so
thank you for listening to our latest installment of Anime Box. You can look forward to the next Anime Box. We will be watching Kaguya-sama: Love Is War.
Seasons 1 and 2.
Seasons
1 and 2. Yeah, so
very excited.
Jumping straight to the modern era, as it were, and maybe a little bit of relationship themed stuff next week because we're also doing confessions.
Hey.
So look forward to that. Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
This is my confession.
Very
I listened
cool.
to it, and I'm very excited to talk about it. So
Yeah, nice.
cool.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Yep.
And see you later, Space Cowboy.
Yep.
Did I even say that
Stole
right?
no, you didn't. See you, Space Cowboy.
You should
stole it
be
from me.
saying it's been real, Space Cowboy.
It's been
Yeah, there
real,
you go.
Space Cowboy. Cut the other part. Don't actually, but cut it.
Okay.
All right.
Don't actually cut it.
I botched that. It's okay.
It's all good. It's all good. I got a lot of love for these merry men and all you beautiful people. I love you all.
Yeah.
All right. Adios.
Peace out, Space Cowboy.